Listen, something's going on with my hair today. I don't know why it's behaving the way it is, but I will appreciate if no one commented on my hair. I curled it this morning and it looked fine, and then it all went to shit in the matter of a couple of hours. So guess what's back though? The alcoholic drinks. Yes sir. If you watched my first couple of podcasts ever, I think I started in June or something like that, then you will know that for a while there, like 3 whole months, I had a slightly alcoholic beverage accompany me every time I filmed. And I stopped for a couple months, but it's back now. In the spirit of fall, I'm drinking Two Towns Cider House Cosmic Explorer Original Cosmic Crisp Imperial Style Fresh Pressed Northwest Apples. This is hard cider. It's only been about 3.5 weeks since I filmed my last episode, but I figured I have 1 finished object, 2 pretty significant whips to show you. So let's get started. This is the first finished object, first and only, and you've seen this now. It'll be 3 podcast videos in a row, so if you've watched my previous videos, you will know and love, hopefully, what this is. This is my Louvre sweater. The pattern is by Petite Knit. She is beauty, she is grace, she is everything I have ever wanted in my life. I'm gonna hold it close up to you, and then of course I'm gonna put it on, do a spin, do a twirl so you can see what it looks like up close. Last time I showed this to you, I just needed to finish the body and the body ribbing, and of course all that is done now. The yarn that I used is a combination of Manos del Uruguay Petal, Milo in the colorway Petal, and held with a Suri yarn from a local dyer here in Los Angeles called the Woolly Warbler. It's a Suri alpaca silk yarn, and I believe the colorway is Olive Warbler. The Suri was white for the most part, with a little bit of like browns and tans and like really light oranges, and the Milo was pink, so that's why there's a little bit of variation that comes from the Suri. Okay, so all the details are out of the way. Now I want to talk about where I kind of left off last time. So last time I finished the sleeves. The sleeves have this really nice wide ribbing section, and of course so does the collar. And I really wanted to have that for the body, but I was playing yarn chicken towards the end, and I actually had to bind off with just one of the yarns, not held double, because I had run out of the Suri. So the Suri was pretty expensive. I think it was like $32 to $35 per skein, and I only bought 3, which is a lot of money. So I really didn't want to go back to the store and buy a 4th skein, especially knowing that I would only use like maybe 2 meters. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna knit the body and start doing the ribbing. Like, I was guesstimating or eyeballing everything, which I did a pretty good job of doing, considering that I just had to do the bind off in the Milo, but as you can tell, the body ribbing is not nearly as long as the sleeve ribbing, and it does bug me a little bit, but not enough to unpick this bind off and go back to the store and pick up more of the Suri just so I can make that longer. Maybe in the future, I don't even know if that yarn's gonna be available, but right now it really doesn't bug me. That is the only kind of, not even regretful, but like non-perfect thing about this. The other thing I want to point out, and I don't know if it's obvious on camera, is there's like this dark line, and it's just right here. It's just how the Suri colorway showed up in that one section, but sometimes I don't notice it, sometimes I see it and I'm like, that's kind of weird. So I almost wonder if I should like duplicate stitch over this with just the Milo yarn to cover up some of that Suri, the way that the color is like just showing up in this random, I don't know, line or stripe here. I don't know, it doesn't bother me too much, but in the future, if it does, I think that's an option. I still have the Milo left over, so I could totally do that. And I think that'll like be a pretty quick and easy fix. That's the only other thing that isn't totally perfect about this. I'm gonna hold it up close to you. I've shown this variation a bunch of times now on this channel, but just so you can see up close and personal how that yarn looks. I mentioned this before too, but I was a little bit nervous about the browns showing up as like weird chocolate stains, but I think you can probably tell too that it does not come across like that at all, and I really, really like this. It is 80 degrees Fahrenheit outside, probably more like 85, so I'm not gonna put this on for the rest of the video because I will literally sweat to death, but I'll put this on for a bit, and I'll insert some clips too of me trying this on earlier in the morning when it was a little bit chillier, so more sweater weather. Right now, Los Angeles is still clinging on to summertime heat, so I can only wear sweaters for a couple of hours in the morning, and then the sun comes out, and then it's time to put them away because you start sweating. Okay, this is it on. I do want to go in with an elastic and just cinch the neck in a teeny bit so it doesn't like flare out so much. I don't mind it, but when it does this, that's when it bothers me. So I want to go in with elastic and just like pull it ever so slightly a little bit tighter around the top of this. This is a mock neck, turtleneck right here at the top. This has been wet blocked. I didn't really do that much to change the shape or the length of the sweater when I was wet blocking. I mostly just did it to like even out the stitches a little bit, and I think it looks pretty good. Again, I do wish that the body was just a little bit longer, like if the ribbing was like an extra, if I could go another 10 rows, I think it would be perfect, but you know, it is what it is. Here's the side. Petite knit did include short rows in this pattern, so there's a clear front and a clear back. I don't know what else there is to say about this. It still does shed a little bit even after blocking, and it is the Suri that sheds. Like when I was putting it on earlier, I could see little white fluffs. Even now, they're on my lips and stuck to my face. But the Suri is so soft, I really don't mind it. And it's incredibly warm, but not in the way that wool is. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like, I feel really warm in this, but I don't want to start sweating immediately. If I kept it on, I would definitely start sweating. But it's a very comfortable sort of warmth. And in the morning when it's like 50 degrees Fahrenheit, when it's a little bit chillier, it's literally perfect. Like the wind doesn't blow through it. It's so nice having like hand knit sweaters in natural fibers. I don't know. I know it's like duh, like that's why we knit these things, but as someone who's only owned store-bought sweaters my entire life, like I only started knitting a year ago. I started knitting last October, so it's been 1 full year. It's just like, it's so nice to have a hand knit sweater. I don't know. The only reason why I even knit this Louvre sweater this year is because of the Summer of POP Cal knit along that happened this summer, hosted by Abigail Makes Stuff and the knitting page. Sorry if you see me picking at my lips, it's because the Suri is like in my mouth. It's like cat hair. That knit along was the only reason why I decided to knit this sweater, because the Milo yarn is this really light pink, and I just didn't think that that shade of pink looked really good on me. And I had bought that yarn I think 2 months into my knitting journey, so I didn't really know what color to buy that would look good with my skin tone. And sorry, there's a truck making a screeching noise outside. But when I saw the Woolly Warbler Suri and when I saw the knit along, I was like, well, this is like literally the only pink yarn that I have in my stash. It's a great excuse to get rid of that Milo or use up that Milo. I do still have just a tiny bit left that I want to work into some sort of scrap project. Maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe not this episode, but when I do start that scrap project, I'll definitely show you. So I'm just really glad to have used up yarn that I was initially going to like literally give away, because I had it in my stash for like 6-7 months, and I was like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna use this yarn. And then the knit along came along, and I was like, well, this is my opportunity. This is my only chance. And I'm really glad that I found this Suri to pair it with, and I don't think it looks too weird against my skin tone at all. Yeah, I'm really excited to wear this out. I think it's like such a simple, classic, versatile piece, and I can wear this with blue jeans, white jeans, black skirt, even brown pants. That could work. Yeah, the possibilities are endless. And I'm really happy with this. That's the only finished object that I have. It's a very good finished object, and I'm very happy with it. But now we'll get into the 2 active whips that I have. The first one is one that you have never seen before, or maybe you have seen it because I talked about this really briefly in February or something, and I just never talked about it again. But recently I really wanted to knit something textured because I had done so much stockinette and rib recently, and I was like, it's finally time to do something with cables. Here it is. Let me try to find a way to show you what this is. Can you kind of tell right here? This is called Smilla's Sleeves, and the pattern is by Ventzel. And I don't know if this counts as cables, this pattern, but I definitely do use a cable needle. It is a simple sort of like 1x1 cross, left and right, to make this sort of honeycomb pattern. But I don't, like, it's not a classic sort of like big thick cable or anything like that. This is kind of a bolero shrug type situation. I have a barber cord tied in the front to hold the body because, as per usual, I finished up whatever yarn I had for the body, and then now I'm working on the sleeves because that's just how I like to do things around here, is sleeves first, body last. I was telling Jean that my preference is, like, I love doing sleeves. Sleeves rarely will be boring for me, and I really don't like the body knitting experience as much, which I don't know if that's common, but I think most people like to do the body and then do the sleeves last. I don't know, I just love doing sleeves. It's so fun for me. And as you can tell, I am knitting my left sleeve currently. I will say this pattern, like the texture, makes sleeves a little bit more tedious because you have to do the cable stuff so many times, but I love seeing the way that it grows. There's just something so satisfying about that. You start by working this little chunk back here, so the neck band, neck edge right at the back of your neck. You do a provisional cast on in the middle so that it kind of grows from both sides, which was something that I had not done before, so that was really interesting, and it took me a lot of figuring out, and I think it looks pretty good. Can you tell? I mean, you definitely tell where the middle is, but it looks pretty clean. Not too bad. It did take me like 5 or 6 tries to get that right, so it took me a little bit. And then you do knit the back panel first. So the back panel is like these 2 diagonals, like everything in between these 2 diagonals. You knit the back, it's a whole panel, and then you do the front panel. Essentially from this diagonal on the back here, you pick up stitches and knit the front, sort of little chunks here. And then you pick up stitches for the sleeves. The neckline is worked throughout, like as you go. It's not picked up and knit later on, which I really like because it's a nice break from the texture of the rest of the garment, and it's like just so satisfying to see it grow and to know that you don't have to do any sort of pickups at the very end. That's really nice. I forgot to mention, the yarn is Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino. I think this is just their cream, like white colorway. I realized I had it back there so I could just go and see. Yes, cream 95881 is the number on it. I bought this yarn to make this pattern back in February, so it's just been sitting in my stash for a while, but I'm really happy to like be using it. I'm on my 3rd ball, and I'm about halfway through my 3rd ball, I would say. So the sleeves, if I had to guess, would take about 1 to 2 balls per sleeve. I'm gonna undo this barber cord knot that I've made here so that you can see a little try on. All right, so I'm holding the cords because I really don't want these to just fall off. It looks a little weird, huh? I have seen some people on Ravelry talking about like fit issues with this, so I'm a little bit concerned, but also on the other hand, I've seen some gorgeous versions of this. I think it just looks a little weird right now because none of the sleeves are done, and I think once you have the weight of the sleeves, it's really gonna like pull the garment into whatever shape. The same thing with the body, but it's not meant to be a closed at the front sort of a thing. It's meant to be worn open, and it's meant to be, yeah, like a shrug bolero type of situation, so it's not supposed to be like a cardigan, and that's what I wanted. So, but I have heard that sometimes it like falls off people's shoulders and stuff because of the sleeves being so heavy. We'll see if that happens to me. Fingers crossed it doesn't. I don't think this try-on is doing any wonders here. So hopefully the next time you see it, it'll be done or a little bit closer to done, and you can get an image of what it's supposed to look like. When I was joining the front and the back pieces, I was a little bit concerned about how small it looked. So I did a quick mid-project block, and it's fascinating because you can totally now see the difference between the blocked versus unblocked. Oh my gosh, it's so much more obvious on camera. So the sleeves obviously are unblocked, and then the body or the back here is blocked. But I really like how the stitches look once blocked. It's like so smooth and even. And this heavy merino is so soft after it blocks. I'm really liking this yarn. I think this yarn's gonna be pretty high up on my list. We'll see after I finish this. It is sometimes a little bit splitty, especially after I frogged the same part of the yarn a couple of times, but it's not too bad, and it's like pretty easy to group together again. But I just love the way that it blocks out, and I love the way that it feels. It feels so good. I'm looking at this and I am very proud that there are no noticeable mistakes. I did have to ladder down to fix a cable like lean direction a couple of times, and I watched a Roxanne Richardson video for that like 5 times. So I will definitely link that video below in case you are working on something similar and need the help there. So helpful. I really didn't want there to be many mistakes here, and I'm learning a new skill. I'm learning how to ladder down to fix the cable direction. So that was really cool to learn. That's my Smilla sleeves. Hopefully in the next video it will be done. All right, this next whip you've been seeing as well a couple of times. It is at a point now where it's like starting to kill me. This is my Vienna Blouse. The pattern is by Sandnes Garn. It is part of, or one of their patterns in the DIY collection. And it's got that little peplum that's supposed to come in. I just started the peplum. I did the increases, and I think I am like 4 or 5 rows into knitting the peplum. My God, it is torture. It takes me 30 minutes to knit 1 row, and like purling takes me even longer. I actually haven't tried it on yet since I cast on for did my peplum increases. It's kind of cute, no? It definitely needs a good block. I have not blocked this at all. And of course I still need the I-cord edges and the I-cord ties that'll go here and here. Oh my gosh. Wait, I'm kind of obsessed with this color. I know red is also kind of in this season, like a pop of bright red is in right now in mainstream fashion. I'm really excited. From last time, nothing has changed on the sleeves. I sewed in my left sleeve, and my right sleeve I have yet to sew in. I realized I should not have cut my yarn because I need this yarn to like bind off the sleeve or to sew it on the inside. But I figured it's not the end of the world and I can just join some yarn in at the very end. But oh my gosh, it doesn't look weird, right? I can't really tell on camera, and I'm already getting warm in this. I think it looks pretty good. For the peplum, I think I'm just gonna knit like a smaller peplum because 1, I cannot stand knitting this, it's killing me, and 2, because I kind of want a cuter little flare out effect. I'm inspired by this one Instagram photo that I will put right here. I really like the way that girl has done it, and I think I'm trying to mimic that. We'll see how it goes. The pattern is supposed to be knit in 2 strands of mohair held together, 2 strands of the Sandnes Garn Tynn Silk mohair. I'm holding it with 1 strand of the mohair and then 1 strand of Sunday. So it's definitely going to create a thicker fabric, and we'll see how that goes. Yeah. If you guys have experienced knitting patterns from Sandnes Garn booklets, you know that it's not super, they're not written in a way that's super beginner friendly. And actually I forgot to mention, but the Ventzel pattern is also not beginner friendly. A lot of it is like read between the lines and kind of figure it out. So I'm actually really glad that I didn't knit this in February when I was a brand new knitter, and I'm knitting this now after having knit a couple of garments, so I kind of can visualize what the instructions are leading you to, because there were some points in this pattern I was like, what the heck, like what direction am I supposed to be casting this on, what am I supposed to be doing here, what does that mean? And I had to kind of like visualize what the garment looks like in my head to figure it out. So quick side note that the Ventzel pattern, not super, like if you're a beginner, I would not recommend at least the Smilla sleeve patterns. I can't speak for her other patterns. Same thing for the Sandnes Garn pattern. When I was doing the peplum increases, the pattern said purl 1, a P1, and then P1 TBL, like P1 comma P1 TBL. And I was like, doesn't that just mean purl 1 stitch and then purl the next stitch through the back loop? And then I was like, how does that give you peplum increases, because you're not doing increases? So I had to do a quick Googling thing, and there was only one person who asked the same question on the knitting Reddit, and I kind of assumed that this was the case, but then that post confirmed it for me, where it's supposed to be purl 1 through the front and back loop on the same stitch, so you are increasing 1 stitch for every stitch that is already on your needles, if that makes sense. So you doubled the amount of stitches that you have. So that made a lot of sense to me, but just the way that it was written in the pattern, I was like, I don't think that's what they meant. Or I don't think that's the way that I'm understanding, like I don't think I'm understanding it correctly. So that's just one note about the pattern. And so much of it is condensed. Like one little paragraph will give you like information for a lot of the garment, versus like a petite knit pattern, one paragraph is just one section, and then for the next section it's a whole other paragraph explaining something different you have to do. For Sandnes Garn, it's very, very condensed, so just keep that in mind if you want to knit anything by Sandnes Garn. This is the only pattern that I've knit by Sandnes Garn so far, but I do have plans to knit the Hadley sweater, which is in the same booklet as the Vienna Blouse. I want to use Rosa Pomar Mungo for that. You can kind of see it on my shelf. It's the little charcoaly gray guys right back here. I want to use that yarn to knit the Hadley sweater, and I think that'll be really cute. I still have to gauge swatch, so we'll see how it goes, but I also have to do gift knits. I'm planning to do a gift knitting like mini series on here, just so I can be accountable in getting my gift knits out in time to the people that I have promised them to, or promised them in my head to give. So keep your eye out for that. I'm not going to talk about the gift knits yet because I just haven't made that much progress on them. No yarn acquisitions for me this time around. I'm on a self-imposed yarn ban, although I will say I broke it to buy Drops Alpaca Boucle. They were having a crazy sale. I saw on Instagram. I should not be going on Instagram during a yarn ban, but I saw on Instagram they were doing a sale, and I think I got like 20 balls of yarn for under $80 US, including shipping, which is crazy. But my boyfriend has confiscated that bag of yarn, and I'm not going to see it until next year because I wasn't supposed to buy it this year. So he is holding on to that until 2024, and then he'll give it back to me. But I don't even think I'll miss it. I just couldn't pass up the opportunity because I really want to use Boucle next year, and I figured this is a good time to buy it, but I'm not going to be working with it for the rest of this year, so it is what it is. Okay guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you had a good October. I hope you had a good spooky season if you celebrate Halloween in any way, shape, or form. And I hope you have a wonderful November, a wonderful fall season, drinking PSLs and maybe trying the new Starbucks Christmas drinks that just came out recently. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.